So an RNA dropped for us on global. We began to wonder who was going to drop alongside of Selphie when the Phoenix event did drop, and it looks like it's Paladin Cecil. We got both Paladin Cecil, not Paladin Cecil, Dark Knight Cecil. Paladin Cecil just came out. That's why I was thinking of that. But Dark Knight Cecil and Selphie both get their level 70 awakenings. Well, Dark Knight already had it, but they get their reworks and EX pluses. We're just gonna keep it nice and brief. I'm not gonna go into too many details. Just kind of give it like nice and short. Paladin Cecil got a pretty powerful rework. He gets access to new plus variants of his skills, which will activate if he is 50% or lower of his current max HP. And the potency, the upgrades that he gets in his plus variants are really powerful. He gets more overflow. His second skill performs a lot better, gets much better brave battery before the launch. And this works in Paladin Cecil's favor because, as we know, Paladin Cecil is the character to hurt himself. So when getting below 50% HP is not really the issue. His EX Plus gives him some pretty powerful upgrades that actually gives him access to the Dark Imperil, which helps him out a ton. And everything considered, he starts out with his frame buffs at the beginning of the quest, and his EX boosts up to a whopping 200% overflow, executes twice, nice, and has 6 hits now. Paladin Cecil becomes a very, very powerful force to be reckoned with. Obviously, you know, he does have his cons. The biggest glaring con is the fact that you have to be below 50% HP to get access to the plus variants of his skills. Now, it makes sense for his kit, but it's not the greatest. He does get a last stand effect, which is a pretty generous last stand effect compared to other characters who have it, where he actually will survive a hit at 1 HP if he is above 20% HP, which is actually pretty nice. Which that does help out a lot. But because of the 50% HP requirement, he does not work well alongside of plenty of support characters that we have that just do absurd amounts of healing and HP regen. And now, I'm not saying you want to let the man die, but like, you want to make sure you keep that under control so he's performing at his best. And because he has that spicy last stand, and you can afford to play just a little bit risky with him, just know that if you go a little too much, you're going to be in some issues. Characters with minor HP regen, Kate Sith, small burst heals like Rosa really benefit Dark Knight Cecil a ton. Because, like I said, you want to make sure that you aren't healing him up entirely, but then that also leaves you in the issue where the rest of your team can suffer because you're trying to appease to this man so he can do more damage. When he's in his plus variants, Paladin Cecil hits hard. Like, he hits really hard, and he can rightfully sit as one of the harder hitting characters that we currently have in the game, but sitting at 50% or lower HP and restricting your team comp from having powerful HP regen to benefit the rest of the team and not just him is a little bit of a hindrance. So unfortunately, I'm going to give Paladin Cecil no. I keep saying it. Dark Knight Cecil a no. A very powerful character and can be used pretty strongly as you're willing to make the sacrifice, but because of that, it especially doesn't work in the Chaos era where these things can just power up to any means and just start one-shotting people. Well, and most of the bosses don't even have to be at that much brave to start doing heavy amounts of HP damage. It sure works for him because he can survive it, but other characters are not so lucky to have the last stand. I would say Zack is probably his best friend, just to take the heat off of him, and Zack has a last stand as well. But if you're unlike me and are not willing to run Zack in every single team composition you have, you're going to want to run other things. I just don't think it's worth too much of the hassle, but if you're willing to make it work, Paladin Cecil can do the job for you. Damn it, Dark Knight. I'm sorry, I'm gonna do it this whole video. On to Selphie. Selphie did get some pretty good stuff. Mostly just good upgrades to her wall. There is not a single aura that this woman does not give off. Like, I'm pretty sure she buffs just about everything in the game, and as well as a 20% boost to the EX recast with aura. Wall did get a pretty good upgrade, increasing some more stuff, and getting a debuff evasion rate of 70% versus the measly 35 that it had before. Which, thank the Lord. Unfortunately, it's not 100%, but hey, it's better than nothing. Drain gets 2 Brave Heals, and some pretty powerful ones at that, and as well as much better HP regen. Aura is now one of those moves where it does not take up a turn count and has no action delay, so Selphie can move again immediately right after, which is pretty nice. And her C65 allows her to recover at both a use of Drain and Wall, which is, hey, that's pretty good. Yeah, that's pretty much it to Selphie. You know, she gets access to her buffs at the beginning of the quest. You know, the standard fare with the EX Plus for the most part. There isn't really much they could have done with Selphie's EX Plus, to be quite honest. They just made it better, made it function better, made it move a lot better. But how is Selphie for the Chaos Era? Selphie, we have a history with this girl. When she came out, she was basically the primetime support, and her age just kind of showed. Now, with this rework, you know, it does bring what we remember back just a bit. But unfortunately, she has some tough competition to try and return to. And do I think she's knocking down that competition? No, unfortunately. The 70% evasion rate is nice, but unfortunately it is still pretty inconsistent comparative to other characters such as like Lena or Ignis, who have 100% evasion rate on their stuff. Some buffs will slip, some debuffs still will slip through, and that's still that's still pretty frustrating. She has absolutely no brave shaving capabilities, which we already know that with Selphie. Like, she only has it through her brave attack plus, and that's fine. I mean, we already knew that with Selphie, but the biggest thing is just like, as a support unit, she's more of the defensive side, and we just got a character's EX plus to just honestly just not doing it with Selphie. Like, Beatrix is just better. Like, I just hate to say it. So it's like, if you're gonna pull for a support character currently who functions practically the same, and honestly, I would recommend just go pulling for Beatrix. What I will say is, what Selphie brings is something that is unique, because, you know, she has the EX recast rate up, and she does have some good heals, so she does have that over Beatrix. But in my personal opinion, I do think Beatrix is more worth it to pull for. And Selphie, while the 20% EX recast rate is really nice, to be honest, you don't necessarily need it. Now, I'm not saying this to hinder Selphie in any means, but a lot of characters, while a lot of characters do have a slower recast rate, I've never had a single moment in time with the characters that I currently have, or characters who have come out in recent, that I'm sitting there like, I wonder how I could get through this if my EX could just recharge a little bit quicker. I've never had that situation. Now, that's just me personally. Now, I know there are some characters in the future who are going to need this assistance, such as Sync and Caius, right? Yes. Caius in the future, because they are so slow, and there are certain characters that we do have now that could benefit from it, such as Agrias. It's because she does have a slower recharge rate, but it's just, I don't know, there's something about Selphie that's just not really doing it for me. I will give credit where credit is due. She is a great support character. She offers good burst heals to the party. She buffs just about everything in the game, but as a support unit that specifies in her special field, I do think Beatrix is better. I don't think Selphie is important for the Chaos era, but she is definitely a very good support to pick up if you are in need of that. But like I said, if you're gonna pull for support like that, Beatrix is live right now. Just go get her. But that's just my personal opinion. That's where I stand with Selphie. If you do choose to build up either of these characters, definitely a 3 out of 3 for power. I fucking almost did it again. Dark Knight Cecil. Definitely 3 out of 3. Selphie. I'm gonna say Selphie is a safe 1 out of 3. To be quite honest, like, you can avoid going full ham, but if you want to, by all means, go ahead. But definitely 3 out of 3 Dark Knight Cecil. His 3 out of 3 is stacked. But anyway, that'll pretty much do it for this one, guys. It is a no for either of these characters, which is a little unfortunate. But I will say though, the banners that did come out with this is not this right here. I will 100% say, if you are missing Rosa or Agrius, go ahead and pull on this banner, because this is a really good banner. Barrett's okay, but these two specifically, yeah, get in there for that. If you have Beatrix, if you have Vayne, if you have these characters, not that banner. If you have those characters, get into this banner if you're missing Rosa, because she's still phenomenal. But anyway, guys, that'll do it for this one. Thank you a ton for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.